Hello and welcome back to this channel. So in today's tutorial, we're going to go ahead and create a super simple animation using Adobe Fresco. So what you see on the screen right now is what you're going to get by the end of this tutorial. If you haven't watched my intro to animation or motion in Fresco, I would highly recommend that you go ahead and watch that video first. Although the illustration or the animation that we do in that video is much more complicated than this one, I cover a lot more things and I cover things in depth. So it's much more easier for you to understand how animation really works in Fresco. And that video is geared towards beginners, so it should be easy for absolutely anybody to understand how animation works. Even if you haven't watched that video already, it's fine. You can try to follow along in this. And if you have any questions or if you get confused as what's happening, you can then go back and check that video. Because I'm going to try and cover everything I can in this video, but sometimes, I do miss things unless I actually plan it for beginners. Alright, so let's just get started then. I'm going to click on Create New and let's go to Digital, click on Square. So you can choose any artboard size for this illustration. It really depends on what you're going to do with this particular animation. I was thinking of uploading this into my social media, so I thought of using a square format. So before we begin, I want you to go ahead and click on these grid option here. Click on Alignment Guides. So what this does is it helps us figure out the center of the artboard, which is a little bit important in this tutorial. Now I'm going to go into my brushes. So I'm going to use a pixel brush for it. That is, if I go into ink, there's a brush called Belgian Comics. I'm going to be using that. If you're using this animation for anything other than social media or where you think quality really matters, I would highly recommend using the vector brushes instead, because we will be resizing our artwork a lot. And when you use pixel brushes, you do lose some quality. But since it's going to be just for Instagram, I really don't care so much about high quality as long as it looks good on my feed. So I'm going to be using the pixel brush. Okay, just keep that in mind. I have a color black, doesn't matter what color you have. I'm just going to go ahead and draw a plus like this. Now I'll click on this icon here, that's the transform tool, and I will move it until I see these blue lines like this. And I want a blue line up here as well. Not over here, but somewhere in the center, like this. And now you are in the exact center of the artboard. And let go. And click on Done. So this is our center of this artboard. And, it's pretty easy to figure that out when you have your alignment guides turned on. Now let's go ahead and start illustrating things. I'm going to keep this here and maybe click on Levels here and reduce the opacity so that it's a bit lighter. You can see it, but it's not, affecting your view. Now click on a new layer and let's start drawing the heart. So I'm going to go into my colors, and I don't have a color palette for you guys because I want you to go ahead and choose your own colors, which is super simple. This outer ring is the main color and the inside one is just the shades or the hues of the color. So I'm going to go ahead and keep it somewhere here, which is red, and move this one so that it's a bit reddish red like this. Okay, and if you want, the numbers are 4, 80 and 99. Now I'm going to go ahead and draw a heart. My heart is going to be about this size. So I'm going to draw a center line like this and now draw a heart. You see it's not so great, so use your 2-finger tap to undo things. I'm going to go ahead and color this off. So don't worry about the size of this heart. You can start with much smaller size. You can also start with much bigger size, and you can go ahead and edit it later if you feel like you wanted a smaller heart to begin with or a bigger heart. Okay. And one thing you should know is if you want to make any changes to this illustration, you have to do it right now before you start animating it, because otherwise then it'll be too much because you'll have to edit each frame. So now I'm going to go ahead here and move this one a little bit towards white like this, so that I have this really light pinkish shade. That's 433 and 100. And I'm going to go ahead and add a bit of shadow like this or highlight like this. Oh, by the way, my brush setting is at 81. It really doesn't matter because, we're just doing this. I'm going to add a bit like that as well. And then let's click on white. I'm going to add a bit like that, maybe like this, like that, bit here. This is all not necessary. If you want, you can add it. Otherwise, you can just skip this part and just keep the red heart. All right, so now that's ready. I'm going to bring this one up here because I want to see my square or the cross, right? The center of the artboard. Now let's go to the heart layer and click on this animation tool icon. So you immediately see this heart. Now I'm going to click on it and duplicate frame. So if you don't know how these frames work, like I told you, go ahead and check out my intro to animation video. It explains everything in detail, okay? So for the next step, I want the heart to get bigger and bigger so that it goes outside of this artboard, right? So click on your transform tool and I'm going to increase the size here like this. I'm going to increase it back here until I see that, this is at the center of the artboard. Now click on done. Now click duplicate frame, again transform, and we're going to go ahead and increase it a little bit more. You see that? That's perfect, and click on done. Let's do that a few more times, okay? How many times you want to do, that really depends on you. Continue, because it says that these things are going to get cut. That's okay, it's expected, so click on continue. So this is going to show up for every time you do this. So you can click on don't show again and continue. The thing is, I like to keep this unchecked because sometimes I don't realize that I've moved it outside bounds. So I want that option to be on. It's up to you. You can go ahead and click on that. I think this will be the last. So I'll just make sure that it goes out like that so that everything is red. Click on done. Continue. Okay, now you can click on play and it's too fast. So pause. Let's go to settings and reduce this frames per second to about 4 or 5, I guess. Let's play it and see 4 and let's play all. Okay, it's a bit too slow for me. I'll show you now how to do things now that if you want something which is smaller than this. So I'm going to go ahead into the first frame, click and duplicate now. And instead of the second one, I'll go back to the first frame, click on transform tool, and this time I'm going to make this smaller like that and click on done. Now if you play all, let's actually increase this to 4. Okay, I think that should be fine. Let's play. Maybe we could make it 5 as well, right? Yep, 5 works great. You can click back here and then now your heart is ready. Now it's time for the text. So one thing you should notice is this number 12. That is, there are 12 frames. So you have to time your text in such a way that it appears at the right timing, right? So I want my text not here. Let's just go back. I think this is the full frame. I want this to be around 10 mark because I don't want it to come after it's filled up the page, but right when it's about to fill up. Okay, so remember the number 10. Now you can click on a new layer and this is where you'll write your text. And then you want this to happen at the 10th frame, right? So if you cannot figure out things properly, you can click on settings and click on document timeline. And now you know exactly where, things need to be. So you know all these frames like this. You can just click on plus, plus, plus until you go to 10th frame as well. You can uncheck this. Actually, I don't use it. I just go ahead and click on plus until 10th frame. Said you wanted at the 10th frame, right? So you go to the 10th frame now, and now let's choose this light pink and make it even more lighter. Or you can actually choose white as well. It's totally up to you. Let's just choose that really light pink now. And I'm not going to change the brush. And I'm going to write a little bit of pressure here. I love you. Let me go ahead and check that. It's too big. I don't want it this big, so I'm going to undo that. Undo this. You know what? I'll try to draw it from here so that I know exact size. Now I want this text to increase in size as well. So let's click and duplicate frame, and now again use the transform tool and up like this so that it matches. Click on done, and now we're going to go ahead and make more. Duplicate frame until you want the size, on your artboard. So click again and duplicate frame, and I want you to see that it's number 13. So that means the heart went back to number 1. So that means you have to match all the layers so that they have same number of frames, right? So don't worry, we'll get back to that. Now click on this transform, and I want this to be a little bit bigger, and then click on done. Now we are short of 1 frame, so I'm just going to go into this heart layer, go all the way to the back, click and duplicate frame, and now we have 13 here as well. So quickly let's go ahead and play this thing out. That's cool, but I want the last message to stay for a little longer. So I'm going to go back here where the heart is like completely red. Remember, we are on the heart layer. Click and duplicate frame, click and duplicate frame so that it's 15. So I'll go to the text layer, go back all the way here, click, duplicate frame, click, duplicate frame, and now we'll have this text for a little bit longer in the end. Let's see that. That's cool. And now we want to add some background to this. So I'm just going to go ahead and go back into this layer, which is the image layer, which is the background, which gives you this white background, by the way. Click on a new layer, and maybe I'll use this light pink, use the fill tool and fill it in with a vector fill. Now we don't have to do any kind of animation for this because this is not an animated frame, just a frame. So this is constant throughout the animation. So when you do that, that background is going to be just like that, okay? So let's go ahead and add some hearts to this. Let's make it even more cheesy, right? So you can choose white, red, and other things as well. So I'm on a different layer, by the way, right now. And oops, go back to your brush, and let's make some tiny hearts here and there like this. And I would like some red ones as well. Or is it too much? Maybe the dark pink ones? Yeah, that's fine. Now I'll click on a new layer, and I want to draw the hearts again. I didn't want to use the same hearts, but I want to see where I drew those hearts, right? So go to your settings, and let's click on the onion skin, and you can see the hearts from the previous frame. So I'm just going to go ahead and draw the hearts again, but in different places compared to the last time. Choose white. So if this previous screen thing is bothering you a lot, you can always go ahead under onion skin, you'll see opacity. You can reduce it so that it's not that dark. Okay, and now click on a new layer, and now you can go ahead and add more to this. Now let's just play this. Did you see that I didn't draw the hearts for all the frames? That is, I didn't draw for 15, I just have 3. So you usually have to make it so that it's a multiple, like 5 frames would have been better. But it really doesn't matter to me because it's a background, and during the end of the frames, that is when you come to the end of the heart frame, there's no background at all. So it is not shown anyway, right? So now I'm going to go ahead and uncheck my play button. Go here and hide this one now so that you have just the illustration, heart illustration ready. I'm going to make this a bit bigger so that you guys can see it. Let's go to play all and play. There you go. You see your simple illustration or animation is absolutely ready. So once you're done with your animation, and if you want to export it, you can just click on the share button here, publish and export, and there's an option called motion. Click on that, and now you have options to export it as a MP4, PNG sequence, or whatever you want. And then I usually choose MP4 and preset. I never change this thing. If you want, you can do that. Now if you click on web ready, you see the resolution is 1080. That's a bit lower. Automatic is a little higher. Okay, once you have it, you can just click on generate frames and it creates an MP4 file for you, which you can share in all the platforms that you want to share with. That's it. That brings us to the end of this tutorial, and I hope you liked it. So I just wanted to show you that you can animate things even if you're not good at animation, or even if you're not a great artist, or if you think you cannot draw. See, it was a simple heart, right? Everybody can draw this. If you did like this video, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. If you want to support this channel, you can always buy me a coffee at ko-fi.com. I also have a little shop on Ko-fi. So if you want to buy something, or if you want to download some free printables, go ahead and check it out as well. You'll find links to everything in the description box below. If you do create something with one of my videos, don't forget to tag me and print me some color, or think beyond color on Instagram. I would love to check it out. Okay, I guess I'll see you in the next video then. Bye bye.